Hey family, your speech mommy here. This video is going to be real quick and it's about some articulation tips. I get these types of questions a lot, like my child isn't saying this sound right, what should I do, or things like that. And I will say that some kids mispronounce sounds because it's not expected for them to be able to pronounce it correctly yet. There are some sounds that develop late. For example, the zh in measure, SLP wise in our world, we don't expect kids to say that until like age 7 or 8. So, you know, if you're expecting your 3-year-old to say measure, that's kind of out of their developmental expectations. So that's just one thing to think about when your child isn't saying a sound correctly. Is it developmentally appropriate for them to say this sound correctly? Because sometimes it's not. And I'll put a link down below to a developmental sound chart, and it pretty much shows you at what age what sounds should be developed. But if you're wanting to teach your child how to say a certain sound, I'll give you some tips and help you out. But wait. You know how I said some things are not expected yet. Another thing that's really hard for kids to do is consonant clusters. Even I, as an adult, have a hard time saying a consonant cluster, which is more than one consonant together, like street, S-T-R. That's a consonant cluster, and that's very hard for kids to do. And that's also not expected early on. So I'll provide some information on that too. Another thing that I get asked a lot, so some kids will say a sound incorrectly and some of them just won't say the sound at all, and that's also normal too. There is this stage of development that includes phonological processes, and that is pretty much just the ways that children learn how to say words. And one of the processes is omission, or to omit sounds. And there are a few different phonological processes, and they are normal up to a certain age. So if you want to know some more information on those, just let me know and I'll provide it to you. But let's just jump into these articulation tips. So if you want to teach your kid how to say a specific sound or a certain word, you have to start with you. Be an appropriate model for your child. Your kid is going to talk how you talk. So if you're teaching them a sound, just model how you want them to say that sound or say that word all day long. Like, you can't slip one time. Consistency and appropriate modeling is key when it comes to teaching articulation. So you can model like informally, like if your kid says the wrong word, like, Mom, can I have a bot dog instead of a hot dog? You can just model like, oh, you want a hot dog? Here, let me get a hot dog for you. Like, just model it for them. That's an informal way of teaching them how to say that word or that sound. And we can get formal with it too. So when it comes to formally teaching a sound, the first tip I will say is give your kid a visual cue and show them how to say it. So in my painting video, Caden said glove instead of glove. So the first thing I did was drew his visual attention to my mouth as I said glove. And I kind of over-exaggerated how I say that sound. Over-exaggeration is another articulation tip. Like, overdo how you say the sound so your child can mimic that movement. I know that's not natural speech. No one naturally talks like that. But over-exaggeration has been, proven in research that it works. All of our speech language practices are evidence-based. So even though over exaggeration seems kind of crazy, it's a great way to show them how to make the sound. So when you're teaching them the sound, if it's the B sound, for example, have a lot of pictures of words that start with B. And in those pictures, include words that have different vowel sounds after B. So ball, big, beg, bug. You want to target all of the vowel sounds when you're teaching a sound, which is typically we teach consonants. Our kids typically know how to say vowels. So when you're teaching a consonant, have pictures, do a visual cue, and include all the vowel sounds after that consonant like you just heard me say. Another tip is just to explain to your kid that our mouth makes sounds and this is the correct way to make this sound. Just explain it to them and maybe show them, like, you know, you said hot dog, but the correct way to say it is hot dog. When you're teaching these sounds, you want to minimize distractions. Definitely don't want the TV going, the phone ringing, Facebooking, Instagramming while you're trying to teach your kid proper articulation. Minimize the distractions, get at eye level at an intimate, I don't want to say intimate, but personal type of environment, and make it seem serious. If you're serious about teaching them a sound, make the setup serious and don't be distracted, and don't let your kid get too distracted either. Another thing I'll say is make sure your child's hearing is okay, because hearing does impact articulation. So that's not really a tip for teaching articulation, but if your kid is having issues with articulation, I would definitely check their hearing out and make sure that they're hearing at an appropriate level. So those are some articulation tips that I have for you guys to help you teach your kiddos how to say certain sounds or certain words. And if you want some advice on how to teach a specific sound or a specific word, I don't mind providing that information to you. So just comment down below or shoot me an email or like me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram or any of those great things. And I am more than happy to help. That is why I'm here. I'm here for you. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.